Okay, so this is the last of the Jersey recordings, taken off finally to get back to Maine today, and so this is in the midst of reading meditations written this day, and appropriately, as I dwell here in the shadow with Heraclitus, I went to prepare for the meditation today, and lo and behold, page 151 of the original, this is the original text right here, is missing, and so I'm going to have to read from the book itself, Being and Learning, and this is page 120 and 121 in Being and Learning, and I'm going to page 151 in the original manuscript corresponds to page 121. So the missing material is a paragraph on page 121 from Being and Learning. So once again, meditation on Heraclitus and the story that was told by Aristotle of some visitors who came to his house, encountered him warming his hands, caught him in a very mundane situation, and then this story was retold by Heidegger in his letter on humanism. And Heidegger's reading of it is that that there's some really important significance in this story, particularly because of Heraclitus's the one thing that he said to them as they're about to leave. He says, "Hereto the gods are present," or "Hereto the gods come to presence," depending on the translation. Before we move on to explore the dwelling of the sage through Heraclitus's welcoming of the strangers, we should identify this moment in the story as depicting how the hearing of evocative speech draws one into the magic of dramatic performance. Dramatic in the sense of being vivid, stirring, and thereby catching and throwing us beyond ourselves. As we said above, the magic of evocative speech is identified in what occurs after the moment of provocation has given way to wonder. This moment unfolds in the crossing over of the strangers. To be struck with wonder is to be enchanted. Evocative speech is an enchantment. It is thus a kind of celebratory song, a singing or intoning. It is poetic and identifies the sage's dwelling, the dwelling of learning, as poetic. The saying of evocative speech intones, strikes the keynote with the said. Hereto the gods come to presence. The reception of these words as incantation transports us beyond what is to that which is not yet. This transportation or passage, which we are here calling the crossing, begins with the estrangement that returns the apprentices to their project and culminates with their leap into the company of the sage. Through this crossing, they arrive at the hermeneutic horizon of possibility, the condition of learning, the location where not a thing is, emptiness, possibility. As we have said, the free play of learning into which the apprentice is released by evocative speech is opened up by an enchanting intonement that is an expression of a conjuring art. Evocative speech intones through invocation, but invoke is a particular kind of calling, vocare. To invoke is both to call out, as in make a supplication, to call on, but it also means to declare something, a relation, to be binding or in effect. Further, invoke is appeal for a confirmation. Here with the story of Heraclitus, we see the manifold appearance of evocative speech as invocation, incantation, and as an appeal, invitation, summons, and as a confirmation, a binding affirmation. But in every sense, the evocative speech, the poetry of dialogic learning, designates the originary relation we maintain with being, the twofold play as the ultimate horos. The dwelling of the sage is thus occurring within an abode that is located within the horizon that is, quote, still something else besides a horizon. The horizon is the openness which surrounds us. We say we look into the horizon. Therefore, the field of vision is something open. But its openness is not due to our looking. It strikes me as something like a region, an enchanted region, where everything belonging there returns to that in which it rests. And the enchantment of this region might well be the reign of its nature, its regioning. It's a quote from Heidegger. The story of Heraclitus and the strangers leaves us with an open-ended conclusion. Like Heidegger, we can insert our own speculations into the gaps created by the story, particularly the one left at the end. We continue our exploration of the sage's dwelling by imagining what unfolds when the strangers receive Heraclitus' evocative invocation to dwell together with him and the gods. To begin, we might identify the sage's dwelling as poetic and attempt to discover how the openness of the horizon, which gathers the abode of learning, appropriates the dwelling of the sage through the enchanted regioning. This enchantment of this regioning appears in its openness, which is not due to our looking, but is seen and heard in the dwelling of learning. This seeing and hearing of this enchanted regioning unfolds in the poetic dialogue that we might call the reciprocal exchange of wisdom poetry. First, let's try to make meaning from the claim that the authentic dwelling of learning is poetic, and then explore further why this poetic dwelling might best be identified by the name wisdom poetry, and thereby turn to our exemplary sayings of Heraclitus and Lao Tzu. And that's how it ends. So this one, the last couple of days, particularly yesterday, and I wrote about this in my blog post in the commentary, the writing was felt very repetitive, and is an example of what I call the compression. So just coming back and looking again and again, and the meditation for today, the 6th of May, pushes out into some new and interesting places. I find that leading up to the long Heidegger quotation quite interesting, where there is the link between invocation and vocation, right? And so this to invoke is to call out, to declare something, and then to say that the invocation is how did I put it? It's an evocative incantation. The evocative speech as invocation, incantation. And then that leads to the play on saying, right? So that when the Heidegger quotation, there's this important emphasis with evocative speech as enchantment, and then that's when I sort of make the emphasis with the dwelling of the sage, both as a way of being and a place of being. And it's really important. And then here with Heidegger, where is it? Yeah, it strikes me as something like a region. This is the open field, the openness of the horizon, an enchanted region. And the enchantment of this region might well be the reign of its nature, its regioning. So that quotation from Heidegger is really key. And I believe that that is from The Way to Language. Let's see. Conversation Along a Country Path. That's right. So that's going to be it. That's my commentary. I'm going to try to get myself in here a little bit. Nope. Barely making this. Okay, and that's how I'm going to leave it on this day, the 6th of May, 2014, 10 years after this meditation was written, the last Jersey meditation.